Thanks, Aros, for such a wonderful welcome. And I would like to thank each and every one of you who joined hands together against this COVID and participated in this wonderful conference. So I am Shweta Lodha, as Aros has already introduced me. I am C Share Corner MVP, blogger, as well as author. And today I'm going to talk about Azure bot service and how we can utilize Lewis capabilities to make our bot more interesting and interactive. Here is the brief intro about me. So before we begin, I would like to tell you something more about my credentials. I'm speaker, I'm approved mentor at the Code Mentor, and along with this, I'm also a author at the Code Project. And apart from these designations, I have grabbed multiple awards and recognitions from the various community. And I had been awarded as a technical group from MSD and Technic multiple times. And I was also a Microsoft community contributor a year back. So I love interacting with people, sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, learning new technologies. And that's why I'm here with you guys now. So that's pretty much about me. Now here goes the agenda. So I would like my audience to know that there is something in for them to know, especially when we are running multiple tracks in parallel. So let's see what I'm going to talk about it. So I will tell you what exactly the bot is. Then I will introduce you to the natural language processing framework, which we also call it as the Lewis. And we'll see what are the various ways we can create the bot. One of the use case we will be taking up, followed by multiple demos. And then we can have a deployment part where we'll see how we can make the chatbot live onto some channels. Let's go with the basics of the bot. So bot, what is it? So bot is an application that users interact with in a very conversational way. So when I'm saying conversational, it means it could be text, it could be speech, or it could be a graphics, which in turn can be in the form of cards or images. So if we talk about the messages which are shown on the slide right now, so these are the human readable messages rather than any machine readable format like binary 0, 1, 1, 0, all these things. So now what bot response, it totally depends on how we are training the bot or how we are training the model, which bot is going to occupy. So the language which we feed, the response which we get, each and everything totally depends on the model which we have designed and for the purpose of our bot. So now we have understood what the bot is. Let's think about the scenarios where we can use it, or what is the need of the bot. When we have several applications, web application, mobile application, then why do we need this? So it can be used, or say bot can be used in any area where we can think about the virtual assistants, wherein we are seeking information without interacting directly with the human. So the best example I could say is the customer care desk. So wherein most of the time we call the customer care desk to seek some information. And usually what they do is they will simply throw some queries into the database and get those available results for us. So whenever we are calling, they are simply shooting the query rather than doing any other household work, because they don't have the information handy right now. So based on the customer queries or the call they are receiving, they have to supply this information. And I believe it's a quite good way. But if you will closely look at the scenario, if you will analyze the scenario, you will realize the pain. And that is holding the receiver of your phone for a minute, 2 minutes, and sometimes even 4 to 5 minutes to get our call answered. So is it worth? I believe so, it's not worth. And let's take another common example, wherein we can think about any financial or the banking institution. So nowadays, many finance giants are using bot to issue checkbooks, to guide their customers on their investment plans, to know bank balances, or to report loss of cards, etc., etc. So this list is literally endless. So all these areas, we can say that bot can sit, and it's the very proper position, I would say. So in one line, if I am to summarize what bot is, It is bot is an application that performs automated tasks based on instructions which we have already fed to him. Now, going on to the next slide, now we have got a pretty much good idea, but the one question is still open. Why do we need bot when we have web apps, mobile apps? I would think of an answer, and it is like for any application, the first and the foremost thing which we need is we have to get it installed. And that's where our bot wins. We don't need to install, we need not to do anything. It's just a simple link or a simple icon which you can click on it and start the conversation straight away. So that's the best part of the bot I can think of. Now let's take more into its technical aspects. So this is the image which I have directly pulled it from the MSDN documentation. So on the left hand side, you can see channel. Now, simple words if I will describe. So channel provides a way to connect users and with the bot. Now user can use any medium to connect to this bot framework. It could be Teams, it could be Facebook Messenger, it could be Skype, Twilio, anything. In fact, there's a huge list of applications which could be categorized as a channel. So we will have a look at it. We will have a look at the possible list shortly once we will log on to our Azure portal. Now, after that, we can see there is something called the bot framework service in between, which is immediately after the channel. So this framework service is a component of the Azure bot. And the whole purpose of it is to send the information between the channel and the bot. So here we can see that rather than channel sending complete information directly to bot, it is going via Azure bot service or the bot framework service, we can say. And of course, there is a reason behind that, which we will look into it in our next or the upcoming slides. But before jumping on to the next slide, let's have a look at the messages which are being transferred across these two parties. So these are the few HTTP messages which are going to and fro between framework service and the bot. So all these messages in terms of bot are known as the activities. So whenever message exchange happens, we simply call it's an activity which is taking place between both the systems. And activities can be of two types. One can be the conversation and another one could be message activity. So the initial two connections which you are seeing over here are the conversation messages. So these two are the messages which one message is used from channel to bot or the service to bot, and another message is from bot to the service. Both are handshaking and saying that yes, I'm alive. So once that conversation update messages are done and we receive the proper response, then the actual conversation begins. So you can see that user is saying hi and bot is responding with the message, same message. Looking like it's an echo bot. So whatever user is saying, he will get back the same response. Now, this is the high level pictorial representation of how messages are exchanged. And for each and everything, you will definitely receive a status code. But the sequence in which status code received is not defined anywhere as of now. So it could be in any sequence, but you will surely receive status codes. Now, this is the slide where we can get an answer that why do we need a service in between channel and a bot? Why can't we make this communication or the conversation directly between both of these parties? So there is, like I said, each and every user can connect through channels, and channel choice varies with user. Like some user prefers Skypes, with others it is Facebook Messengers. Now all these channels will have their own way to communicate and their own way to read users' messages and their own way to generate the outputs. So let's assume we have 50 different channels, which means we may have 50 different types of outputs, which we are calling as a channel JSON over here. Now, let's think of a scenario how bot will react to those different types of messages. And what if tomorrow another 50 different types of channels came in? So are we going to change our bot, or are we going to keep manipulating the things here and there? Of course not. So there sits the Azure bot service in between. So what this service will do, it will read the data from the channel and convert into a unique, unified format which bot can understand. So here is the activity JSON. So it doesn't matter which channel user is using. You will have the same format or the same JSON structure for this activity JSON. And bot would be very happy to consume the same format as his input. So yeah, that's pretty much from this side. Let's move on to the next topic. So before moving ahead, I'm not going to do deep dive into these topics. It's just to give you a high level idea of what bot is, where Lewis sits, and how can we make the basic bot workable. So with this note, let's move on to our next topic, which is Lewis. So now it's time to enhance our bot by adding new power or the new intelligence capabilities, and that can be done using the Lewis AI. So what this Lewis is? So Lewis is the short form for the language understanding intelligence service, and this is one of the service which makes our bot more intelligent, which in turn can respond to human messages in a human readable way. So Lewis internally utilizes machine learning for this natural language processing part. So let's have a quick example here. Again, it's a very basic example. And here we can see there are few messages where we usually or any user prefer to say. Now, in order to greet someone, each and every member or many people have their own ways. Someone say hi, someone say hey, rest may say hello. And if you will go to other countries, they have their own notation of saying say hey yeah. So how will bot understand? Because at the end of the day, all these things mean the greeting for anyone, right? So here sits the Lewis in between. So what Lewis will do, we will train the Lewis model with all these probable messages which a bot can receive. And after compiling that, after getting complete information, it will navigate it to the bot. So here you can see at the right hand side, there is a greeting dialog. So when we are talking about the bot, each and everything works in the form of a dialog. So for one functionality, we used to write one dialog. For another functionality, we can have another dialog. So here, hey, hello, hi, all these belongs to my greeting area. So I will create a one greeting dialog, and these all input will directly go and be the input or become the part of the input for my greetings dialog. So this entire thing, where this input will go, where it belongs to, how and which dialog will react, that Lewis will take care. Now, a few of the important concepts which we can see in terms of the Lewis. So first one is the intent. So intent identifies what actions you want your bot to do. So in our previous example, greeting was an intent in terms of Lewis. So similar example could be you can have visa intent, which will grab information about visas. Another example could be consent intent, wherein we can take users' consent in the form of yes, no, yeah, no, anything. Similarly, if we will start compiling the list based on one application, we will get so big list. So Lewis do have its own default intent, which is called as none. And based on that, we can come up with our own intents for the given application. Now, along with the default intent, Lewis also provides some pre-built intents, which I will show you shortly. So we can directly utilize those intents rather than writing our own intent or rather than reinventing the wheel itself. Now coming on to the entities. So entity describes what things our bot is going to take action on. So let's say you are saying, hey, hello, hi. It means it will fall to the intent greeting. Now greeting intent should belong to some entity. So how we will connect that intent to the particular entity? This we will see in next slide itself or while our demo. So in other words, if I will say, entities are there to enhance our intents by adding categorization to it. How you can categorize more to your existing intents, that can be done using the entities. And the utterances, these are also one of the highly used and is nothing but a combination of the entities and the intents. So utterances provide a way to identify the phrases which are linked to intent and entities. So let's say, for example, I am saying about that book me a flight from so to so place. Now, how will you get to know whether so to so is what? Whether it is a location or whether it is the name of some person. So here utterances came into the place. So utterance will tell us that so and so is the name of some location from where somebody wants to travel. So these are the bit theoretical part. Let's dive into some of the practical and understand more about how this Lewis work. I will quickly jump on to, so you can access the Lewis using the portal lewis.ai. Okay, so you will end up on this page and here you can see a sign in button on the top right. So from there you can log in. Cool. So now it is logged in and on top you can see there is something called My Apps. So any app you want to register with Lewis or you have already registered, it will come into this particular panel. So let's go ahead and create one app. Now there is an option new app for conversion. So if you will expand it, you can get another 3 options here. So first one will allow you to create a completely new Lewis app from the scratch. Second option is if you already have some JSON with intent and entities defined, you can directly come and import it over here. And this is again the Lewis file. If you have created offline or you get it from somewhere, you can simply go ahead and import it. So let's go ahead and create a new application and see what it gives. So I will name it as Lightup Lewis app. You can select the culture. If you want, you can give some description. Prediction source is optional. Let's click it. Now, here it is the guided tour you can see. So Lewis is giving you how you should proceed. So what it is saying, first you have to design your schema. It means you should have a clear intention, what you are going to achieve, what are your real world entities, what type of request you may get on your bot. So all these things you should have predefined in your mind. Then we can proceed further. So next come is the build your model and then you can improve your app. At the bottom, you can see that it is giving some suggestions. And like I said, book a flight to Seattle. So Seattle is an utterance. Similarly, book flight, it could be an intent for me. So these all things we can utilize it over here. Let's move on to the next one. Here it is talking about how you can build examples. Okay, let's quickly close this and we'll see what we have here. So this is the default intent which I was talking about. As of now, there is nothing inside this. So, and on the top, you have certain buttons, create, add pre-built domains. So let's click on this and see what is there. So these are the pre-built models available. So if you want to use it, or let's say if you want to use calendar capabilities to your bot, for meeting request and any other event scheduling and anything, you can simply select one of these and get it from here rather than writing everything from scratch on your own. So this saves quite a time. We will go ahead and create our intent here. Let's name it a greeting intent. If you want, you can append a name. It's totally up to you. There is no defined notation for naming the intents. Well, so here is the intent. Now we can just enter some intents and Press enter, you will see that it is getting listed over here. I can even say hello, my name is. This is how you can greet, and you can even say good morning, I am Nick. Anything we can say which belongs to a greeting in a common person's language. So go here. So let's go ahead with these 4 as of now. And at the same time, I will create another one, which I would say visa intent, which will mainly talk about what type of visa are you holding, or let's say your bot is planning to collect some visa related information. So I can say whatever I'm tapping here are the responses, what I'm expecting as a bot from the user, so that I can read this and analyze it further to process my data. So I'm holding H1 visa. I can also say I am USA citizen. Or in fact, I can say simply L1. I can say anything. So let's take these two. Coming on to entities. Here I will go and create one entity, and here again there are list 4 types of entities you can create, and if you will create on each of these you will get the respective guided tour that how and what type. Let's say the most interesting I would find is, let's say, pattern. So if you want to define pattern, that whenever user is typing flight XYZ, it means it is something, it has something to do with the travel. So for this, to make it simple, let's go with the machine learn, and I will name it as candidate name. So candidate name is the name of my entity. Similarly, I will go ahead and create one more entity, and I will name it as visa entity. I think name for entities and intent cannot be same, so you have to put some differentiating factors with it. Now we have created these 2 entities. What next? Now we have to associate intents and the entities to make our utterances useful. So I will go here and I will say, whenever anyone is saying I am this, it means it is a name for me. So here I will mark it as name. So whenever you will analyze the data, the machine learning model will just pick this particular word and assign it to our model, which we are going to process it further. So let's go ahead and train the model. It will take a couple of saying, well, so it is trained. Let's say what it is saying here. So it is saying hi. I will say hello. So you can see that there are certain percentage, or you can say the confidence level it is showing me. It means whenever user says hello, 90% time that it will fall in my hello or the greeting intent only. So with this, I would like to proceed further and see what we have next. So now we are done with this. Let's go ahead and see what Azure Bot Service is. So I will go here. I will create a new resource group. Let's name it as Lightup resource group. I want it to be in West. So let's go here, create it. Again, it's so quick. Okay, so resource group is created. Next, I will go and I will search for web app. Here you go. So name it something, Lightup bot, and here you can select the subscription. I'm sure you must be aware of all these default settings or the options we are getting over here. So I'm not going to spend much time on it. Here I will stick with the West US. Pricing model, I'm taking this one. And app name would still be the same. Here you can see there are 2 languages which we can use for our development purpose, Node.js and the C#. So I would like to go with C#. And there are two types of bot, echo bot and the basic one. So if you just want echo messages, whatever you are saying, bot will come up with the same message, then we will go for the echo. And if you want something intelligent, then we should go with this one. So here goes the basic bot. And this is the app service plan, which I would like to continue. I'm not looking for any app insights. Here are the Microsoft App ID and creation. So if you will click, you can go and create your own. I would like to go ahead with this and let Azure create it for us. So this is the, we can say, offering provided by Azure. And what we are doing is we are just creating a simple bot with some default data in it. So it is still under deployment. Meanwhile, we will go here. Let's see. It will take some time. Okay, meanwhile it gets deployed, we'll continue on our next part. It's done. Okay, so let's go to resource. And this is the bot which is created. And here you can see left side, there are a lot of interesting options over here. The first one is the build. So now whatever we have created is the default code sample, which usually comes with most of the Microsoft Visual Studio templates also. So here now we have to make it intelligent. We have to customize the logic. So we need the entire source code. So by clicking on this button, we can get it downloaded onto our local machine and can tweak it based on our needs. So I'm not going to do it right now. Here is the web emulator wherein you can test the bot. So this is the one which we have just created. It will take time, so you will get messages like this. I will just try out one message. Like it is suggesting book a flight from India to London. Let's see what it says. Hey, sorry, but the following airports are not supported. So it means model is trained very well that he can respond to our messages. Well, now looking at the channels which I was talking about. So you can deploy your bot on all these channels which you can see: Facebook, Line, Telegram, Twilio, GroupMe. All these are the places from where we can use our bot. Another interesting thing, what I would like to show you is the configuration. So here, if you will see, there are multiple keys defined, because whatever bot we have created, there is Lewis account associated, and that's how our bot was behaving in a very intelligent manner. So these are the keys which you can change it based on the read and the requirements. With this, let's go ahead and take one practical example. So I would like to walk you through one use case. So just spend a couple of minutes and see. Okay, so what the use case I'm taking here is, by looking at these two lines, one thing is clear, that this use case has something to do with recruitment process. Now, what is that something? Well, I will tell you here. So let's take a scenario where an organization is looking for bulk hiring. Say they want to hire 10 to 100 candidates. Now, to address such a requirement, one of the most common thing which usually most of the organizations do is just conduct a recruitment drive and promote this event using various channels on the social media. Now, what will happen, that although you're looking for 100 profiles and you got 1,000 or 2,000 of profiles, how are we going to deal with that? So one way to get rid of is Just ask our recruitment team to go through each and every profile, and if it looks good, call up each and every candidate, collect their basic information like are you still open for opportunities? Are you willing to work in Redmond or so and so city? Do you have experience with this technology, or how much notice period you have to serve? So all these are the basic set of questions which usually a recruiter asks, and it has nothing to do with any technical aspect of the requirement or the opportunity. So now let's say we ask some recruiter to do it. What do you think? Is it the better way to do this? Because tomorrow profiles can be 1,000, 2,000, or it could be millions if we are running this drive for months. So how are you going to deal with this? So first of all, I feel that this process itself is not efficient. And sitting and going through each profile, connecting with each candidate is truly a hectic process, because when we are saying connecting to a candidate, it involves many things. So first is check the person's availability. Are you available? And if he says yes, I'm available, you have to schedule a call. Then you have to come up with certain questions. You have to log it somewhere, whatever the responses we are getting. And at the end of day, or let's say at the end of the conversation, you got to know that this candidate is not at all interested. So what? We wasted a few minutes setting up the call and connecting to him. So that's what my use case is all about. So what we are going to do is, rather than a human or the recruiter going and connecting with each and every person, we will create a simple bot with some predefined questions, and we'll get the response from the user, and based on those responses, we will evaluate those responses, and then we'll decide that do we really need to call this particular candidate for our recruitment drive. If it is yes, then we'll work on only those selected candidates or the profile, rather than going through each and every thousands of profile. So let's have a quick demo here. First, I will show you how it works. So to make it pretty simple, I just considered a few of the questions so that we can relate it very easily. And the reason why I chose this particular use case is so even the non-technical person who are attending this seminar or the session can understand what are the capabilities or what are the things we can use when we are talking about the bot. What are the features we can use? So it is taking some time. Okay, meanwhile, I will go and see if okay. Let's wait. Okay, cool. So bot is up and running. I will close this quickly, and you can see that it is running on this particular bot. So, and here at the same time, you can see there is an emulator. So what if you want to test this bot here? So I am launching my emulator. And one thing which I want to mention here is the demo I am showing here is completely done from the scratch using the Visual Studio template. So I didn't go to Azure, I didn't download the sample which was existing. Rather, I utilized the template which was available with Visual Studio. And in order to get that, you can install the extensions which are available specifically for the bot. So where is my... I have to quickly grab some keys. Let's Control C. This is my app key, and similarly, I will go ahead and perfect. So now when we're working with bot, it's on us whether we want to show some welcome message or we want the end user to start. So usually the suggested ways, let bot should say hi to you. So I've just sent a message. Let's see. Okay. So now I said hi and bot is saying hello, welcome, what is your name? So I am saying my name is Shweta. So next question, are you still looking for the opportunities? Of course, yes. So I would say yes. Now, these statements which being a user I am typing, it can be anything. It can be my name is Shweta, I am Shweta, or simply Shweta. So it's on our model to see what information it needs to seek from the user's input. So what are your top primary skills? So I would say it's MVC. And which visa do you hold? I can simply say L2. And what is the notice period in terms of days? So when we're dealing with the bot, one important thing is you have to be specific. I cannot go ahead and say what is your notice period because somebody may say days, months, years. And again, in such scenarios, it is difficult to train the model. So, and at the same time, let's have a look at the left right side panel. So you can see how the REST API is showing us the response. And if you will click on any of these messages on the top right corner, you can see the JSON which is generated while communicating with the bot framework. So let's try a few more questions, then I will tell you. So I would say notice period is 2 days. Okay, now what I'm doing is the reason why I kept the breakpoint here is I want to show you what I'm doing with the data or what data actually I received for my analysis purpose. So this is the variable where I am having candidate name. See, although I have written my name is Shweta, it just grabbed Shweta. Although I said 2 days, it just grabbed 2. So rest all things it is simply avoid. And at the same time, if you will see visa type, although I gave an L2, it still didn't get. It means the model which is currently available is not supporting or is not able to understand that particular language which I have used. Rather, I would have given I am holding H2 or I am holding H1 visa. It would have better understand it. So let's go here and I will quickly stop this and we'll give you a quick overview of how things work. So this is the main dialog, which is my starting point. And if I will go and see here, you can see that it is taking a recognizer as the one of the constructor's parameter. And here we are adding what type of dialog we want. So waterfall dialog means once this step is executed, move on to the next one. Once current step is executed, move on to the next step. So here I'm saying, so once intro is done, fetch the candidate name, then get the job consent, then get the primary skills. And finally, at the final step, we are saying bye-bye, thanks for your time. So if I will take you to, let's say, this particular async method. So what we are doing here is each and everything is a context and we need information from the previous context or the previous fallback step we have. So here, as soon as I receive that, yes, the current result is null, the user typed something. So it means I have to go to Lewis and I have to see what type of data it is having and what type of intent it is recognizing. So this is the Lewis helper class. I have defined the strings for my intents. And what this particular method is doing is using the Lewis recognizer, it is giving me what is the result. And this result itself will give you the top score or the intent in. So this is the same score which we have seen in our test client, web client. So let's say when you set candidate name, so it will fall into my, this is the highest scoring intent for me, which will fit 2.96%, 96%. And if I will go here, what I'm doing is using my entity name, I'm simply grabbing the candidate name. So that's the reason I got only Shweta as a valuable input for me rather than complete line, my name is Shweta. So this you can do it for each and everything. And of course, when you're working on the real practical application, you have to define all the negative cases also, that what if name is empty? Would you still like to proceed? So all these things you have to take care. And yeah, this is the code which I just tweaked a little bit. And if you will see, there are a few dialogues, flight recognizer and all those. These came when I created this application using Visual Studio template. So it will help you a lot. So before deleting anything, just try to make your things work. And if everything is up and running, we can quickly go ahead and delete it. But if you are a developer who is going to use bot for the very first time, I would still suggest you to come through the Azure path, download the source code and get yourself started. So this is the basic example. So I have put everything into my main dialog, but in your scenario, you may have to come up with different dialogues. So let's say I have created one more dialog, recruitment dialog. So each and every dialog has to be invoked from your main dialog, which is your starting point. And recruitment dialog, if I will go here, it has its own step. He wants to do something else. So once it is done, then only it will come out onto the main dialog. Now, how this main dialog is invoking, I think here we are utilizing sorry. Okay. So here it is like ASP.NET Core application. So everything starts from a startup file, and at the end you can see that I have registered main dialog as my iBot, which means it would be the starting point for me. So another important thing is how this application is talking with Lewis. So here I have certain settings defined, app ID, Lewis ID, and all these things. So using that, my application is this application was able to talk with the. Now I will quickly show you how to deploy this application. Like we are running out of time, so let's click on the publish, because right now it is all local. I want to move this application to my Azure so that I can test it over there. So for deployment part, we have three main things which we need to take care. The first one is the endpoint. So you have to publish the endpoint, which is very secure. So your URL should start with HTTPS in order to make it secure. Another thing, you have to register this particular application with some bot connectors. And once it is registered, we can quickly push it onto the channel. So let's have it here. I will go ahead and create new deployment. I'm sure you have seen this earlier if you have deployed any of your applications. So okay, so we can use the same resource group itself, and let's see. Or in fact, I can go ahead and use this one. Okay, so let's click on finish. So one thing you should notice is it should be HTTPS. So in case if it is not HTTPS, you can quickly go edit your template and just mark it as S, and we are good to go with that. So it is taking some time. Yeah, so you can simply put it as here and that should work. Let's click on publish. It will take a couple of seconds. Meanwhile, we will go here. Go to the resource group. I will choose this one. So let's see. And meanwhile, I can tell you one more thing. It's like when we're talking about the Lewis. So this is my data which I have utilized for my demo. You can see there are lots of consent and retain, all these intents are defined. Let's have a look at this one. So I have already defined that whenever it is in this format, so whenever it is in this format, consider it as a notice period. And that's the reason my app was identifying those things. Another thing is how to grab the endpoints. So this is the place where you can grab this app ID and going here under the authoring resource, you can see it is taking time to load. So here you can see rest of the keys. So let's see if it is published. Okay, so it is published, and once it is successfully published, you will be able to see this particular screen, and you can see now the URL is pointing to this particular thing. Now going to Azure resources, and here what we are going to do now, we need a connector. So type here channel connector, bot channel registrations. So inside this, you have to go and register your bot. So demo recruitment registration, we can call it. Let's use the group which we have created. Let it be here. I will. And here comes the important thing. Now the messaging endpoint. It would be the same endpoint which you can see over here. Just grab it from here and paste it here. No app insights. Let's go ahead and create its own Microsoft App ID and password. I hope it will be done soon. Okay, cool. So now it is done. Under this resource group, we can see it is coming over here. Next thing is to go to this bot, channel, and here you can see okay, so it is working as expected, as I was using the existing group. But when you are doing it for the first time, what you have to do is you have to go here, go to the channels. Just wait for a second. I think so. And here go to authentication configuration part, and here you can see all your configurations. Let's go to that again. Yeah, so now it is there. This is the one which I was looking for. So if I will go here and if I will say this is the one which we just registered, and under the channels, if I will go, I can see there are multiple channels. So you can simply choose whatever the channel you want and click on that. So let's go with the Microsoft Teams, which is the quickest one, and open it. And you can see that this is the one which I did as part of my testing. So here you can see that now bot is coming inside our Teams. So similarly, you can do it whatever the channel you want. So this is pretty much from my side. And yeah, we are open for the questions now.